Hi, book lovers, and welcome to Book Talk Radio Club. My name is Claire Perkins, and today I'm talking to Baron Deschauer. Baron is the author of a number of books in quite different genre. His current title is Concentration Camps of Canada. Unknown to the world and its citizens, the Canadian government waged a genocidal war against its indigenous peoples, never granting them ownership of land they freely gave to European settlers. A war that was fought in residential schools as they stripped indigenous peoples of their language, culture and pride. So successful was this method that Adolf Hitler used it as a model for his own concentration camps in Nazi Germany. Hi Baron, thank you for coming on Book Talk Radio Club.
Hi Claire, thanks for having me.
Sure. I'm going to start with, you said the war was fought in residential schools. I don't understand that. Why residential schools?
Jesuits are known for their adage, give me a child until 7 years old and I will give you the man.
Right.
The Canadian government attempted just this. By targeting the indigenous culture at the level of children, they could recreate the resulting men into Canadians.
Right.
These Canadians... I can...
Hello?
Oh no, I don't want to ramble on. I can carry on if you would like.
Yeah, no, carry on, please.
Okay, I was just going to say, at the end of the day, they wanted the farm boys, the boys to be farm workers, the girls to be domestic help, and they were never destined to be any more than just that, the help.
Okay, I understand. And the story is told as seen through the eyes of McGizzy. Have I said that right? Pronounced that right?
McGizzy.
Yes. Sorry, beg your pardon. Can you tell Book Talk Radio Club's listeners who McGizzy is and a bit about him?
Well, McGizzy is an amalgam of the truth. He includes people like Tommy Prince, who's a war hero and the model behind McGizzy's adventure during World War II. Mm-hmm. Tommy Prince was the most decorated Indigenous Canadian in history.
Right.
The rest of all the stories were from interviews and from the Truth and Reconciliation Commission. I set the novel between 1918 and 1960s, right. And it's geared towards the young adult audience. Mm-hmm. I can tell you a little bit about McGizzy.
Yes, sure, please do.
Yeah. So we meet McGizzy when he just arrives at the school. We then see him as he leaves the school and falls in love with the white pastor's very white daughter, and she him. We see the consequences as he returns to the reserve and tries to be, quote-unquote, a good Indian. Life and circumstance drags him into alcoholism until he rediscovers who he is. He joins the army, goes to war, and returns only to find that everything is still the same. He's not allowed to leave the reserve without a pass. His children are still subjected to the same residential school horrors. I put him through what every Indigenous person is put through.
Right.
Nothing in this story is outside of the ordinary experiences of any ordinary First Nations person.
Huh. So what inspired you to write Concentration Camps of Canada?
In a word, my brother. Lucky nagged me into research and write a book on the subject. I resisted as it didn't interest me in the least. Mm-hmm. I finally began to look into it and realize the injustices of my complicity as a Canadian. I actually felt compelled to write this book. In many sections, I wrote through tears, both of shame and anger. And to this day, anyway, it's a very, very passionate subject.
And you, as you say, you co-wrote the book with your brother Lucky Deschauer. Did one of you do the research and the other write? What was the writing process in this joint effort?
Lucky interviewed a lot of people and did a lot of primary research at the Truth and Reconciliation Archives at the University of Manitoba. He met with a number of the chiefs and a lot of members of First Nations. He brought the reality to the page.
Right.
I actually wrote the entire book, but we both co-edited and shaped it through long conversations over Skype and in person. When we felt it was ready, we sent it to the professional editors. That's how we worked it.
It's very, very interesting. I can't imagine actually co-writing with someone, but it's always nice to hear different views of co-writing. So in your quest to better understand the world around you, you have written a number of books exploring existence, which are your books Revelation and Faust, Capital, The Art of Wealth, and the complex interplay of will, luck, fate and hope, the Man on the Run series. Which did you find more enjoyable to write and why?
That's a tough one. Each one was special. I loved delving into myself, into Revelation and Art of Wealth. Man on the Run 2, How to Get Rich, was the most enjoyable for me to write, as it was the sixth book of my six-volume series. I actually started with volume 3, just like Star Wars, and then wrote to volume 6 before I returned to write volumes 1 and 2. Absolutely bonkers. I wouldn't suggest it, but when I actually finished volume 2, it was fabulous.
The Man on the Run series is fiction, but in what genre is this series classified and what type of reader are they aimed at?
The series is a political historical fiction thriller, but they keep sticking it in the genre of espionage thriller. The reader is aimed at is an open mind and ready for some mental gymnastics. The more the reader knows of history and politics, the more enjoyable it will be. But it's not necessary to have any background knowledge prior to reading any of the books.
Right, right. And your book, The Art of Wealth, explores the ability to become rich, or better yet, wealthy. And you believe in order to do so requires a certain mindset. Can you explain that mindset? And for those listeners wishing to win the jackpot on the lottery, I'm sure they'd like to know, would that mindset be guaranteed to work?
Unfortunately, nothing's guaranteed. like painting a beautiful work of art, wealth is not a paint-by-number exercise. It's about having a receptive mindset and reacting to one's environment. Overlaying this is the actual mechanics of wealth creation. The interplay of the two is the art. Not that different from writing.
Right. Can you go a little bit further into that?
Well, to tell you the truth, the whole idea of taking one's technical skills, whether it's writing a book or whether it's making money or building a building, there are great books, there are great works of architecture, there are great creators of richness. But the idea of creating a wealth that is both either sustainable or being able to have, it's what's the right word? Oh, mine's going blank on me on that particular one. Sorry about that.
That's okay.
It's such a big subject. It really is trying to take away from the idea of just making money.
Right.
And I take the difference between making money. Money is like a river, and water passes through. Mm-hmm. Wealth is the pool or the pond or the lake or the ocean into which this water flows. And what we want to try to create is a mindset of pools and ponds and oceans, rather than just the quick grabbing of a splash of water that's running past us. It's like Herodotus says, you can never put your foot into the same river twice. In the same way, richness, the idea of money, is such a fleeting concept, such a fleeting idea, and that only wealth is taking all that fleetingness and making it permanent. It's permanence in an impermanent medium. It's a great work of art, in a mad babble of billions of people talking. I find it fascinating.
It is fascinating, most definitely. You've been a successful businessman and entrepreneur in the UK for many years. Why did you decide to become a writer?
I'd like to think I always was a writer. My English lit professor said that writers write. I have always written,
right.
But I've never published, nor have I had the discipline to put into a fully blown book version.
Maybe
My only regret is not doing it earlier.
Maybe I should ask them, why did you decide to publish?
I think this is the first time I've actually forced myself to create an actual book. Right. And it started with Revelation, and it was literally a dark and stormy night in Guernsey, and in the middle of winter, it could have been December or January, and I had this vision, and I started writing. And I basically said to myself, I am going to write down everything that I think, everything that I believe I know, everything that I've learned, gleaned in terms of the reality of what I consider valuable, which is our existence. And I put it into a book. And it's not an argument. It's not there to convince you, because I don't think you can convince anyone of anything. I just said, this is what I believe. This is what I think I know right now. And it was one of the most incredibly powerful experiences for me, and just opened my mind to force myself to put this into a structure. I then moved on to the art of wealth, and I put everything I thought I understood in money, and I stuck that in a book. Then I wrote Faust, which is the classic Faustian tale, and then I started my Man on the Run series. And once I did that, I did the concentration camps of Canada. Each time, it's drawn out a different part of me. It's been the most fascinating experience I could ever describe. I had no idea. And why? It started with Revelation. And so I can't stop. I'm addicted to writing now. I'm actually finishing the book.
It is. I know it is very addictive. So what's next for Baron Deschauer?
You're going to laugh. I've written a draft chick lit novel, as I call it. As I work my way through the various genres, it has been the most challenging of all the things I've ever done. I enjoy nonfiction as well, and would probably do something as a follow-up to my Art of Wealth book. I mean, naturally, I miss the cut and thrust of business. I haven't been doing much for the last few years, so I may return there, but I will continue writing regardless.
Right. So tell me a little bit more about this Chicklet book.
Chicklet book, I'll tell you what it was. I had a very close friend that had the most horrendous experience with this guy, and she was absolutely distraught. And I'm thinking, wow, this is Pride and Prejudice. I'm living front row seat to such incredible drama. Just put it on paper. I don't have to make up anything. Tweak and adjust it and say, okay, fair enough. I'm going to take the model Pride and Prejudice. I'm going to put some classic structure on this and throw the flesh on it and see how it goes. It's my biggest problem, of course, is I still come across too much as a guy writing this type of genre. So I don't know if I can pull it off, but it's been fascinating. Fascinating stuff.
You know, you could do it from a guy's point of view.
Yes, I know, but I unfortunately I jumped in thinking, you know what? No one wants. It started on this basis. No one really wants to read what I want to write. So I'm going to say, I'm going to try to write what people want to read. And what do they like to read? They like romance. They like soft and fuzzy. They want happily ever after. They want something to make them feel good.
Yeah.
I said, you know what? I don't write feel good stuff. I write from the gut, between the eyes. And if I like it and I'm passionate about it, bang, that's what I'm going to write. And then I'm going to say, okay, fair enough. Forget what I like to write. No one wants to read what I want to write. So let me write what they want to read. So hence this idea. It might be a total disaster, but it's been a lot of fun.
Where can Book Talk Radio Club listeners purchase your books?
All the usual channels. I'm told something like 35,000 outlets via Ingram. That means Amazon, Audible, iTunes, or you can buy via my publisher, Friesen Press.
Okay.
Also, please note that all my books are also available in audio. So Audible and iTunes, and all the links can be found on my website, www.barondeschauer.com. I thought I'd plug that in. Thanks.
I was going to ask you anyway. Thank you, Baron. That was absolutely terrific. Please come back on Book Talk Radio Club when you publish your next book. I'd love to chat with you and hear more. In the meantime, good luck for the future, and thank you everyone for listening to Book Talk Radio Club. Bye, Baron.
Thank you. Bye-bye, Claire.
Bye. Don't go.